friends, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the chapter conundrum. And in today's video, I am finally going to be catching up on a tag that I was tagged in like months ago that I just haven't got the chance to film yet. And it is the music to read by or not book tag. So this was originally created by Robert G. Reader of Books, and I was tagged to do this by Kevin Toll. So I'm going to go ahead and link both of their videos down in the description for you to go check out. But before we get into the actual video, I would just also like to say I'm going to be testing out a mic today for the first time. So hopefully that goes well. So let me know what you end up thinking about the audio quality of this. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the questions. So question 1 is, do you listen to music while you read? Is it a necessity and why? So for me, I don't very often listen to music while I read, but there are occasions when I do, specifically when I'm physically reading and I may be trying to block out some other noise that's going on around the house. I will sometimes put music on in the background to read to. I definitely wouldn't say it's a necessity to me. Like, I can definitely enjoy physically reading without any music, but there are definitely times when I'm trying to block out other noise that it can be very helpful. Question 2 is there a special kind of music you prefer when reading? So rock, classical, jazz, etc. And for me, I think it's more just that whatever I have on has to kind of suit the mood and the vibe of the book. So like, I can think of a couple examples of physical books that I've read where I did have music on, and I can kind of like go into that a little bit more. So the first one is Malice by John Gwynne, and I had like a Hymn of the Valkyrie kind of soundtrack going on in this, and this is Viking inspired fantasy, so like that definitely suited very well. I'll link the video down below that I was listening to reading this, and I'll probably use it again for the sequels because it just suited this so well, and it definitely enhanced the experience for me. And then whenever I do rereads of Harry Potter, I do like to kind of put on the soundtrack from the movies and just kind of skip over anything that has lyrics that would be distracting. But I do find that having the soundtrack kind of like suits the vibe of these really well, so it does make it a more fun experience. So question 3 is there a particular kind of music you would never listen to while you read? And I think for me, well, like I said, it has to suit the vibe of the book. So if it's not suiting the vibe, that's not gonna go well. But the big one for me is gonna be any kind of music with lyrics, because I will find myself paying attention to the words in the song or singing along to it instead of paying attention to my book. Other than that, I do tend to kind of veer away from classical music when I'm reading, only because it reminds me of my childhood when I was doing piano lessons, and that can kind of be a little bit distracting too. It's not my favorite to start with, and it will kind of remind me of some moments like when I was younger and practicing or like doing piano lessons, and like I don't want those memories intruding on what I'm reading. So definitely that's not my favorite to listen to while reading either. Question 4 is, do you read in silence? Is the quiet necessary and why? So I can read in silence for sure, but the vast majority of the books I pick up these days are audiobooks. And so I almost never read in silence because I almost always have headphones on listening to my book. So I guess I kind of like a backtrack to the earlier questions and answers. A big part of the reason I don't listen to music more often is just because I'm doing an audiobook and I don't really want other sound competing with that audio, if that makes sense. I do feel like the only time that like I don't want silence is when there's just too much commotion going on somewhere else in the house and I'm trying to kind of like block out some of that noise so I'm not distracted, or just to kind of like tell my brain to zone in, like, hey, it's reading time. I do find kind of like what works even better than music though is ambience rooms, and they don't even necessarily have to like suit the vibe of the book for me as strongly, as long as it's not something that's distracting me or that has like one really loud like noise that comes in repetitively that will annoy me. Like, I'm good with that. So question 5 is a scenario. You're reading at a public place, so at a cafe, at the park, on public transportation, on a plane, and someone begins playing music or a live band begins to play. What's your reaction? I wouldn't be like rude about this. I feel like if I'm in public, I kind of expect these types of things to like happen at some point. I think if I was reading physically and it was kind of clashing with like the reading mood, I might just switch to audiobook and put like some kind of like noise canceling earbuds in and just like switch to whatever I'm reading on audio at the time. If it's a situation where I'm kind of like contained there and can't leave, so like on a plane or in public transportation or whatever. If it's like a park or a cafe and I am ready to leave, I would probably just move on to a different area Or if it's not distracting me and it's like suiting the mood, I'll probably just stay and enjoy it while I read. Question 6 is, does it matter to you at all whether music is playing or not? And yes, it does. Because Jake, my husband, likes to have music on when he reads, and sometimes I do not, especially if I'm trying to read on audio. I don't want extra noise competing with my audiobook. And so it's kind of a compromise for us sometimes because he'll want to have music on and I will not. But we also want to be hanging out in the same room and kind of like curled and cuddled up together. So I generally would either have him put on headphones or just kind of like have him compromise and do an ambience room instead of music. So to me, it can definitely matter. And I tend to prefer not, but there are cases and exceptions where I do like it. And then the last question is to tag people. And I'm just going to say, if you are watching this and you have some interesting thoughts to add to this conversation, consider yourself tagged. Let me know down below in the comments if you prefer music or ambience rooms or quiet when you read. What are your answers to some of these questions? What's your ideal reading setup? And if there's a certain type of music that you prefer if you do listen to it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to, and have a great day. Bye.